Very good morning to everybody. This is Jonathan Ledger, Skills and Professional Bodies Specialist at the Department for Business and Trade, also Secretariat for the UK Skills Partnership. I'd like to welcome you to SkillsFest25. We have done this for the last 3 years, and the idea is that we will showcase a huge variety of UK skills and training providers. It's a real honour to be here because the way that we deliver skills around the world is changing really rapidly, and we are reaching out to more countries, and sometimes the skills needs that we have in different countries actually could be the same as the UK. So it's really good for us to learn from our friends and colleagues from around the world as well. The UK Skills Partnership is a voluntary collective of UK skills training organisations and professional bodies, and we coordinate activities across the board for international development and international skills and training. We've got a really good lineup to start us off this morning. We have 11 sessions this week, so they are 8 a.m. till 10 a.m. every single day, and then on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday we have a session at 12 until 2 UK time, and on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday we have a session at 1600 to 1800 for the western part of the world, if you like. But it is there for everybody. You can dip in and out of all the sessions, and all the sessions are recorded. So to start us off this morning, we've got Mark Byerley from MMB Connect, Annabel, Lawday and Ty Kennedy from Pearson Education, Tim Dawkins from AAT, Liza, Maggot and Sally Hull from LAMBA, Christopher McCormick from Efekta Education Group, and Stuart Liversedge from Transcend Awards, and Jason Gregory from NCC UK. Very good morning to you all. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. We'll dive straight in, Mark, with your presentation.
Good morning. As Jonathan kindly introduced, my name is Mark Byerley. I'm the Managing Director of MMB Connect. I'll give you a little bit of an overview of who we are, what we do. MMB Connect, we focus on innovating education, empowering industry and transforming futures. And it's a privilege to be here this morning presenting on behalf of the organisation. So also really proud to say that MMB Connect is an associate member of the UK Skills Partnership, which gives us a platform to collaborate across borders and showcase UK expertise internationally. So we're a consultancy that specialises in workforce transformation, interim leadership generally in further education colleges, strategic partnerships and digital innovation, which is delivered in collaboration with our trusted partners at Fuzzy Logic Studio. A little bit more about that later on. I bring 35 years plus experience across the British Army, education and skills sectors. So our role really is to bridge the gap between education, industry and communities to deliver measurable impact. So I appreciate everybody in this call will know that why skills matter, why skills are really important. So I think it's important to understand that we all know that skills are at the heart of today's biggest global, local and regional challenges, whether that's nationally, internationally. And I think it's really important to recognise how industries are being reshaped by digitalisation, by AI, the green transition and demographic change, all of which I think is fair to say demand new skills. And more locally and regionally, whether that's in the UK or internationally, I think it's fair to say that the reality is quite stark. You know, working in further education for the past 16 years, employers are struggling more now than ever to fill vacancies. Well, many learners still lack clear and accessible pathways into sustainable careers, and that misalignment from what education is delivering to what employers and industry is looking for. So addressing this clearly isn't the responsibility of one group alone. It requires shared responsibility. Colleges, universities, employers and governments working together. And this is where we can focus our efforts, connecting innovation in education with the real needs of industry to transform those futures. So we have a very clear vision, but it's ambitious, and absolutely it's right to be ambitious. It's to be recognised as a global leader in skills development and workforce transformation. Our mission is clearly about empowering people and industries by delivering aligned, innovative solutions that bridge the gap between education and industry and employment. And I think it's so important that we have that joined up approach to ensure that the young people, the future workforce, have all the tools in their toolkit to be able to move from a seamless move from education into industry, and the employers don't have to spend as much time training these young people up. So I think that's really important. And also not just young people leaving education, but young people that are already in the workforce. I think that's really important to acknowledge that. Our core values really do sit at the heart of everything we do. Innovation, driving forward thinking, thinking skills solutions, and building purposeful partnerships. And that's a big part of the work that we do here at MMB is those trusted partnerships and the networks are so important. Inclusivity, creating opportunities that are equitable and accessible for all. And I'm really passionate about ensuring that everyone has access to that. Integrity, acting with honesty, transparency and accountability. That's a big core value for me, and something that is a golden thread that I ensure that I apply throughout everything I do. And then the impact, ensuring that the work we do delivers measurable and lasting change. I think that's really important. And I know lots of organisations have values and stand by their values, but these aren't just words on slides. These guide how we operate and how we partner and how we deliver results. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that. We do have a full offer. Super 7, we call them the Super 7 core services. I'm going to focus on 3, but I think it's important to acknowledge the Super 7 in terms of what we do offer. So we offer interim leadership. So, stepping in with calm, focused leadership to stabilise a curriculum and drive quality. Now, that's generally within further education. That's where I've spent the last 16 years of my career. We also deliver strategic workforce solutions. So these are designing strategies that align with skills, priorities, funding and employer demand. So thinking recently in the UK of some LSIF, so local skills improvement plans and local skills improvement funds, priorities that I've been working on generally in the London area. Strategic growth and skills development, shaping programs like higher technical qualifications, so HTQs, and sector-specific pathways that meet future demands. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the work that I've been recently involved in delivering and shaping a new suite of HTQs. Immersive learning solutions, I think that's fair to say that's not going anywhere. That is that future is here now in terms of aligning education and industry and embedding XR, VR and AR and data-driven tools solutions through our partnership with Fuzzy Logic Studio. And I will share around to Jonathan some case studies that people will be able to dive into and have a look a little bit further about that later on. So, and strategic partnership development, I think, is really important, building those pathways that connects learners with live employer opportunities. And I think that's so important that we build those pathways out of education directly into industry, but the young people have the full accessibility and the skills to be able to hit the ground running once they get into work. Global skills and collaboration, creating those those international workforce models and enabling knowledge exchange and cultural competency. And then project and program management, which has been a big part of the work that I've been doing over the last 5 or 6 years, unlocking revenue, supporting delivery and ensuring sustainability. So collectively, these 7 services give us a complete offer, supporting colleges, training providers, employers and global partners to achieve measurable impact. I'm going to focus on 3. So the first one being the global skills in collaboration. So as I mentioned previously, we're delighted to be and proud to be, part of the UK Skills Partnerships. We contribute to showcasing the UK excellence internationally in building long-term work solutions. So we've recently supported the design of international workforce models that align with national priorities and global benchmarks. Our work includes cross-border collaboration, knowledge exchange, and cultural competency, ensuring solutions are both locally relevant and globally informed. I think that's really important. So some of the potential solutions that we can support partners with: technical and vocational education reform that modernises curriculum in line with employer demand. So I've got some recent examples of that. And green and digital skills programs to support emerging industries. I think that's really important to think about how we can support that and the proven expertise that we've got in delivering some of those projects, and capacity building for teachers and trainers to embed new methods of teaching and some of the new technologies that are out there. Industry-led partnerships that create sustainable pipelines into employment. So this is really about creating sustainable skills ecosystems that strengthen employability, drive that inclusive growth, and can be scaled across regions. The second one I want to focus on is the immersive learning solutions. And I should reiterate that this is in partnership. So we have a strategic partnership with Fuzzy Logic Studio, who are an award-winning immersive technology specialist company. They've been around about 14 years, and they're based up in the northeast of the UK. So, but we're really passionate about harnessing that cutting edge innovation to empower workforce development through immersive learning. And that's why we built this strategic partnership with Fuzzy Logic Studio, and that's where MMB Connect acts as their new business development agent. And together we bring our business development expertise, our stakeholder engagement, and our academic and industry networks together with Fuzzy Logic's leadership in immersive technology. This collaboration identifies new opportunities, builds strategic partnerships, and expands the global reach of immersive learning and digital innovation. I think that's so important to acknowledge that, and how we can absolutely drive forward some of that accessibility in some of those outlying areas that don't necessarily have access to all of this. Our shared commitment is to drive digital transformation and deliver training models that are safer, more engaging, cost-effective, inclusive, sustainable, and scalable. Some examples that, just to give you a bit of a flavour of the work that can be done: virtual site inductions, which reduce risk, cost, and time; health and safety simulations that practice high-risk tasks safely in VR; onboarding with AR, VR storytelling, so you're embedding that culture and those values from day one. And we've got an actual live project that we're working on with Network Rail at the moment, which will be in the case study, which will be shared around. Technical training across a whole range of different sectors, including engineering, aviation, healthcare, with digital twinning. Soft skills, customer service, so VR scenarios for leadership and communication. And I think also it's important to acknowledge how we can create AI-driven personalised learning, so those adaptive pathways that respond to progress. The third case study I'm going to look at or talk about is the strategic growth and skills development, something that sits at the very heart of economic growth and resilience, whether that's regionally, nationally here in the UK or overseas, and something actually that I'm very passionate about in terms of supporting colleges and employers to align with their curriculum with emerging priorities, whether that's green skills, engineering, digital, advanced manufacturing, or health. So what we deliver here is curriculum blueprints. So if an organisation is looking to modulise, bring its curriculum into line with industry, aligned to policy and aligned to funding, obviously those things are changing quite a lot. And with the introduction of higher technical qualifications and the LLE, there's a lot of work going on. So the LLE being the lifelong learning entitlement, which will now be coming in 2026. Progression pathways, flexible step-on, step-off points. Employer-led projects, I think that's really important, embedding those live briefs, so working alongside an employer who has a particular scenario they've not been able to solve. Let's get the students working on that. Let's get the students resolving it. Resource and workforce planning, so aligning staff facilities and digital tools, and those all important green skills initiatives, training for retrofit, renewable energy, sustainable construction. Current case study working on with a well-respected UK FE college, designing their curriculum, which is a little bit misaligned with employer needs and limited resources. So we co-designed a blueprint with 6 pathways, modular and flexible, and embedded in those employer projects. The impact is that now that curriculum is industry ready, strong learner progression, increased employer confidence, and a scalable FE-HE model. And the progression pathway, and we moved actually into the second phase of the project now, which is the progression pathways into HE. It's now in development, so we're developing a stronger FE-HE bridge. So the impact really is industry-ready curriculum, stronger learner progression, and workforces aligned to future priorities. I want to finish off on the impact across our work. For me, the outcomes are clear. We're building a stronger talent pipelines, not just aligned to immediate employer demand, but also to long-term economic priorities. I think that's really important. We're enabling accelerated workforce development, harnessing innovation to deliver skills faster and more effectively. We're increasing employer confidence by co-designing solutions with them, creating true collaboration rather than a one-way delivery. And I think it's got to be part of a two-way partnership. And we're forging sustainable global partnerships that ensure our solutions are scalable, adaptable, and future-proof. And that's why it's important that we're part of the UK Skills Partnership, amplifies impact, connects us to a powerful network, and enabled us to take a proven UK expertise and apply it worldwide. Thank you very much for listening. We're committed to working with partners like yourselves in the call to bridge those skills gaps, drive growth, and deliver the long-term transformation. And as I say, we're proud to stand alongside the UK shared skills partnership as part of that shared mission. Here's my contact details. Please click the QR code. Very open to connecting with you on LinkedIn or connecting with you via the other means there on the screen. Jonathan, guests, thank you very much.
Mark, thank you so much indeed. Really, really good to hear about the range of activities that NMB are working on at the moment. I'm particularly actually impressed by your community focus and your desire to kind of create that long-term impact and legacy, and using technology in that process with your key partner Fuzzy Logic. So really good to see how that technology is being used to reach out into big communities and small communities and hard to reach communities, and love the focus on industry kind of tailored activity too. But we must move on, Mark. We are now on to Annabel Lawday from Pearson. So good morning to you, Annabel. Thank you so much indeed. And I think you've got a co-colleague, Kenworthy as well, joining you on today's call. Thanks.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yes, good morning. Hopefully those slides are appearing. I'm always a bit nervous, but I think they are. I'm getting the nod from Jonathan. As Jonathan mentioned, there's 2 of us today from Pearson. We're an education company, so of quite a large scale. So we thought 2 of us might be able to cover just some of what we're attempting to do at Pearson at the moment. So as I say, there's 2 of us on the call, but a quick introduction on myself, and then Ty can introduce himself when it comes to his slides. My name's Annabel Lawday. I'm the strategic lead for stakeholder engagement and international partners. What that means is I'm looking at and hoping to look after the stakeholders we manage and work with and partners we work with internationally in our vocational qualifications business. As I say, Pearson's a large organisation. If you've not come across us before, we have around, sorry, I'm just going to the next slide. We have around 20,000 employees worldwide. We look at education from all aspects. We're really kind of focusing in at the moment on the skills gaps and looking at the demands from international education. How does Pearson have a role within that, whether it's lifelong learning, whether it's the vocational aspect, whether it's academic, English language. There's an awful lot out there that we do and we look at, but today I'm really focusing in on the vocational qualifications business that Pearson has been offering for many years, and then Ty will go on to some of the other work that we've been doing. So here are some sort of high level statistics around our company if you haven't come across us before. And as I say, what we're trying to look at is what is our role in skills-based education. This statement, I left this slide in because I think it's really important to think about it in terms of how we approach the skills gaps, as we commonly kind of refer to. we're looking at how we develop locally relevant, internationally recognized, work-ready skills through education. It's a long sentence, but it really does matter, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. With many of the people on this call and some of the other presenters over the week, we are very much around how does the UK education market really help support and work with partners internationally. So what are the demands we're seeing at the moment from vocational education? I think we can all agree, and I'm sure many of us are going to repeat this, is how there are lots of different areas that we can support and look at. We are very much seeing demands from the curriculum side of the business. So Pearson has been for many years behind the vocational qualification, the BTEC and the Higher National Diploma. We have been working on that and developing that at quite a pace. What we're seeing now is that the modernisation of the curriculum is really critical at this stage with AI and many other topics coming up, I'm sure, across this week. It's really, really critical that we work together with partners internationally on modernising that curriculum and making it relevant to the students coming through the system at whatever age they are at. Also seeing a massive demand in terms of teacher training in the vocational sector. We really are looking at how we develop better and improved models for working with teachers to ensure that they feel comfortable and confident with a vocationally skills-based education system. I've mentioned it previously, and I know Mark just mentioned it, private sector engagement as well is really, really critical at this stage. I'll come on to a case study that we've got active at the moment where we really see the private sector, meaning companies and industries, stepping up and building partnerships with educational companies, governments, and educational providers. Another, again, it's kind of repeating some of the things my colleagues on the call will say, but consistent quality standards is something that we are seeing consistently across the world, that there needs to be really strong quality in vocational education to uplift that kind of view on skills-based learning and vocational qualifications. Alongside that, international recognition has been a key part of what we're trying to build at the moment. We're looking at what is the global mobility of students, it's changing, and how do they use those, whether that's qualification or a certification, which my colleague Ty will come on to. How do you use that piece of paper and certification at the end of your studies to go to a different country or stay in your country, but the recognition is critical. Greater use of technology, again, it's really vital that although in vocational qualifications and certifications it might have been seen as a different kind of model, I think using technology and really understanding how that embeds into vocational education is really starting to come through. Again, lifelong learning, it's really important. I've put it there because I think it's just really vital to be sure that everybody realizes that we're talking about students from a school age all the way up to when you're in the workplace. So those are the demands we're seeing from vocational education globally, and that's something that Pearson's very committed to looking at more in depth. As I say, we are a large company, so we have a sort of a department for everything, and today I'm talking about the vocational qualifications specifically, and Ty will come on to the certifications that we have, but really what we're looking at is high quality learning across industries. So we try and build quality education in sectors that are important. So tourism, hospitality, technology and data are just some of them, and we do spend a lot of time globally looking at what's needed locally. It does depend on the regions we're working in, and again I'll come on to that. Industry recognised certifications, again Ty will come on to that in a second. That's a really strong and important part of the business that we're growing. We know that equipping learners with the skills for higher education or the workplace is really critical, and those certifications that are again recognised are going to be part of that. And again, I suppose it's repeating that international pathways and recognition and adapting and recognising that students may not, and professionals as well, those already in the workplace, may not be taking the traditional routes with their qualification certifications. So because it's easier to do it in a case study, I thought what I'd do is kind of go into some of the work that the vocational qualifications that Pearson developed, the BTECs, specifically cover. We have around 1 million students choosing BTECs every year. I'm hoping many of you will have heard of our qualifications. We try and do our best to introduce them into as many countries around the world as possible, but at the moment I think we're around 70 or 80 countries around the world will find BTEC students from level 2 all the way up until level 7. So there is a huge number of students who have taken a BTEC, whether it be in their school career or whether it might be when they're back in the workplace. certainly there's a large number of students across the globe looking at the BTEC qualifications that Pearson have been developing. We have been lucky in that sense because the recognition does support international governments' view now as they start to look towards how to support their national qualification frameworks that are existing. So we've done a lot of work in various countries to understand what exists, what's needed, and where can Pearson fit into that model. Case studies. So for those who are new to the BTEC, the BTEC qualifications are start around the level 2, which can be at any age, but in Jordan they introduced that to their vocational schools at level 2 diplomas. We have got around 20,000 students across around 300 or 350 schools in Jordan now. We were very lucky to have the support and the endorsement from the Ministry of Education there. They had seen a demand, they'd seen a gap, and they felt that Pearson's BTEC qualifications could really grow that sort of skill-based workforce ahead for the future. We are seeing, it's a very early stages, so we are seeing next year the first graduates of the level 3 coming out. We anticipate some will go to university and some will go into the workplace. So again, working with various ministries across Jordan, from the Ministry of Labour to the Ministry of Tourism, to understand how they can also develop and support pathways for the students that are coming out with their certificates. So we're really looking at it from a kind of dual aspect. We've got the universities on board looking at how they understand and map in their programs to what the students have studied, but equally, how do we get those students into the workplace, as the Ministry of Education had really, really strongly asked us to do. Again, you'll see I've been very clear around the teacher training, because I think it's a really, really critical part of what we're trying to look at in the skills-based learning that we've been addressing globally. Another example, not as large because we're only just starting that now, is that we started to work with the Ministry of Higher Education and Science and Innovation in Uzbekistan. We've just begun to, we're looking for the delivery to start in January or February. It's a pilot scale at this stage, but we are hoping for the next sort of 5-10 years to grow that year on year. It's particularly specifically in the vocational colleges. As with Jordan, we've selected subjects that were directed by what's needed regionally. So the ministry have always come to us and explained how they look at the industries that are going to be selected, where the skills gaps are, and what is the future for the country that's needed. Again, teacher training on the right hand side, because we feel like that's going to be critical again to this project. This is a new initiative that we've started in Egypt that's been really interesting, because it goes back to my point about the private sector stepping up a little bit more than they have done in the past around how they can identify skills gaps, how they've really been challenged by the demands that they're seeing and the changing environments that they're facing. So we have been really fortunate to work with an organisation called El Saweedi in Egypt. We've just signed an MOU with them, but we have been working with them for the past year and a half on their technical universities and their technical colleges. And again, there's going to be some growth there, where they have been really focused in on how does the TVET vocational education really help support their workforce, and specifically their factories, their organizations. It's a large private industry, and hopefully over the next year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, we'll see more and more students with a vocational qualification supporting that company. So it's that partnership between private and public. What I'm going to do now is hand over to my colleague Ty. Hoping it's on the line.
Thank you, Annabel. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Ty Kenworthy. I've been with Pearson since 2012 and in the certification industry since 2010. And I oversee our early careers certification business at Pearson. Our expertise in assessments and qualifications extends to industry recognized certifications as well. Through Pearson View and its Certiport business, Pearson is the leading provider of career-ready certifications, from early career skills all the way to expert practitioner credentials. And it's my opportunity to speak to the early career certifications we support today. We can go to the next slide. Complementary to the skills, domain knowledge, and practitioner skills that you develop through our BTEC qualifications, industry certifications add tool proficiency and applied skills validation to your skill set. Annabel, I don't know if, oh, thank you.
Has it moved? Yes, sorry. Has it moved? Yes.
These certifications have been developed by industry for industry. These are the official titles from global industry leaders like Microsoft, Adobe, Cisco, and others, and they've been developed for career entrance and serve as important launch pads for additional skills development in the job and certification as industry professionals as you develop your career. We also carry titles that have been developed by consortiums of industry leaders to ensure that your learners are prepared for work no matter what specific tools they may be engaging in, or no matter what markets they're coming from. We support a wide range of current and future-ready skills titles in our portfolio, and it's constantly growing. We can go to the next slide. We have been delivering certifications to a global audience since 1998. Today, we issue over 2 million certifications each year to candidates from more than 145 countries. And our titles are available in 25 languages, and we're always looking to expand our language proficiency and grow that number. Each certification is earned after taking a 50-minute skills-based exam. In the case of several of our big software titles, we support testing in a live in the application style, where candidates are given a set of tasks to complete within the software application. As an example, we will bring up a locked down instance of Adobe's Photoshop, and within the application, give you a set of tasks to do to demonstrate your ability to use the tool in the context of your career or profession. And then we evaluate your successful ability to complete those tasks in the background, scoring it automatically. And this isn't a simulated environment. This is real. This is the actual software. Regardless of format, all of our titles are supported with practice tests and curriculum solutions. We also have partners who can help support you at the local level to embed our titles within your curriculum that you already have in order to meet your needs, whatever they may be. Now, we too also have a couple of case studies to share to demonstrate that you don't have to choose between BTech or industry certifications. We wanted to share with you activities that we've done in Egypt as well, that customers can successfully implement both across the needs of a country and an entire learning system. So as an example, we have the Egyptian e-learning university, and they have been leveraging industry certifications to prepare learners for careers in IT. The certifications are not only there to help the students in their learning journey, but they also enhance their employability after they've finished their time in university. And they give them important success metrics that they can track by having those certs. We also have seen great success in Thailand as well. And as we've implemented these programs within their accounting courses, the Microsoft Office Specialist. Critically, the message that we would share is that qualifications plus certifications from Pearson give you a fully rounded, fully prepared skill set that you need in order to enter into the marketplace with all the skills ready for work. And thank you very much. It's been our pleasure to be able to share some of the solutions available to you from Pearson.
Annabel and Ty, thank you so much indeed. Really, really interesting, because you have a huge scope of work, and particularly around BTECs, you know, lots of flavors of BTECs at lots of levels, which is really interesting. I just one question while we're transitioning from one speaker to another, and kind of in 30 seconds, I mean, you talk about, you know, this collaboration based on demand. You know, what's the kind of walkthrough process of that happening? So does somebody go away and do some kind of research, or is that something that Pearson does and then you tailor things to fit? How does that work for you?
For us, we've been able to, and we're very fortunate to work with whether it's the ministry or whether it's a private sector company, really discuss at the highest level what they need from the country. So yes, we go in and do a lot of what we call needs analysis on what could be and what should be adapted and built into the national qualifications.
Thank you so much indeed to you both. Thank you, Ty Kenworthy and Annabel Lawday, both from Pearson. Tim, good morning. Your slides are ready to go.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Tim Dawkins. I am International Markets Manager at AAT. AAT is the Association of Accounting Technicians. We have three main functions. We are a professional body. We're actually the world's largest professional body for accounting technicians, formed in 1980. We have a singular purpose of developing mid-level accountants to support their progression in the industry. We have over 55,000 members in the UK and worldwide, and we operate in about 106 different countries where we have members. We also have 600 plus AAT approved training providers delivering our accounting qualifications. As well as being a professional body, we're also an awarding organisation. So recognised by Ofqual, we are licensed to develop and manage qualifications in accounting, and we are very, as I say, focused very much on that accounting sector. We're also a charity. We operate as a charity, and that is demonstrated by our commitment to social mobility and inclusion, and opening up careers in finance for everyone. This is our core remit of our operations. We also operate bursaries, and have more than 400 applicants for bursaries last year. And I know that we've given bursaries in Botswana, in Malaysia, and are currently supporting students in Myanmar to complete their studies through our charitable remit. We're very focused on accounting technician role. This is a fundamentally important position to support accountants entering the profession, whether they want to just work operationally in accountancy or progress to chartered level. There's a national demand, international demand for professional accountants at mid-level, non-chartered level. This is being boosted by the growth of the business process outsourcing sector, and we're seeing increasing demand in several markets because of that, which I will touch on in the case study I'm going to talk about in a little while. In many countries around the world, there are government initiatives to increase the number of qualified accountants. We very much support those projects, and having a clear pathway into the profession is absolutely fundamental to serving those markets. Our approach increases the employment opportunities for non-graduates to enter the profession, creating that pathway from all levels. And it improves the quality of information and decision making within organisations, and also tackles fraud and corruption from an accountancy perspective. This perspective is supported by the International Federation of Accountants and the Confederation of Asian Pacific Accountants, of which we are members of both, and that supports our international activity as well. Fundamental to our operations are our qualifications, and I'm not going to spend too long talking about qualifications because there's a lot of detail there. But we offer a small range of very focused bookkeeping and accounting qualifications, which underpin the development of accountants in this market. On our website, you can find all the information about the details of the qualifications. So other than saying we have a range of qualifications from level 2 to level 4, which takes students on that progression pathway, I'm not going to spend much more time talking about the details of qualifications. I'd like to talk a little bit about the work that we do in the UK as a UK case study. We are currently working with 22 different government departments to support the training of their accounting staff. This is generally in the form of apprenticeships in the UK, that being the funded model of training in employment, but we also have non-apprenticeship qualifications which are used around the world and in the UK. As well as the public sector, we're very well known and used in the private sector. And these are the organisations, or some of the organisations in the UK, that rely on AAT accounting qualifications to help support their internal development of staff and career progression. And it's qualifications that these organisations look to, recognise and understand. A big focus of our qualification development is that they make work-ready students or graduates who are work-ready. And that is absolutely fundamental to how we want to operate and be able to easily progress students from their studies into employment. Going to start talking now a little bit more about how we operate in international markets and our ethos when we're operating in markets outside the UK. It's very important to us that we engage with the full ecosystem of stakeholders, not just selling qualifications into training providers, but making sure that we have connections with professional membership organisations, training organisations, and that we can deliver a full service solution into those countries. So engagement with all parties around the education and accountancy sector is very important to how we move forward. I'd like to take a little look at where we're operating internationally at the moment. We have 4 main bases of operation outside the UK: Southeast Asia, the GCC region, Southern Africa, and the Caribbean. And I'm just going to have a little look at Southeast Asia and talk a bit more about how we're operating in those regions at the moment. I talked about the fact that we engage with the full accounting sector. So in Malaysia, we're working with the Malaysian Institute of Accountants to recognise accounting technicians as an internationally standardised level across the country. That means that we need to evaluate existing programs within that market. We need to engage with all the stakeholders in that market, and we need to work to introduce the standardized qualifications which will serve students studying in that country and allow them to progress not only in their own country, but to study and work in Malaysia, in Singapore, Australia, and in the UK, where we know many of the Malaysian students progress to work. In the Philippines, we've recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the National Accounting Board, PIPCA, to introduce our standards, the international standards for accounting technicians, into the country. And at the moment, we are engaging with training providers in that country and with the other related stakeholders to make sure that when we have a rollout plan in the Philippines, that it includes all those stakeholders and engages with all the existing programs that are available in that country. And I've got a meeting with TESDA coming up later this week to discuss exactly that, how our qualifications, the UK qualifications, will fit in with the qualifications in the Philippines run by TESDA. Similarly, we have projects working in Cambodia and Indonesia, and we're in discussions in Vietnam with introducing our qualifications into their education and accountancy structure. Fundamental to our international work is being part of the international community of accountants. You can't enter these markets without having decent credentials and a good network. So we are members of the ASEAN Foundation of Accountants and of the Confederation of ASEAN Pacific Accountants. And those networks are really fundamental to our business growth and our credibility. And we've been working for many years with the International Federation of Accountants and have recently written standards which they've adopted as their competency framework for accounting technicians. This helps us in all our international progression and growth. A little look at the Philippines and the work that we're doing there. As I say, we signed an agreement with them last year to introduce accounting technician qualifications into the country. And part of some of the drivers for this was working with them to look at the high level of accountants that were leaving the country, not leaving the sector, but leaving the country. So that introduced ongoing demand to train new accountants. There's also the rise of freelance and remote working, which meant that large employers were struggling to recruit and retrain qualified accountants. This had been impacted on also by the growth of the business process outsourcing, the BPO market, which is growing strongly in the Philippines, but to serve markets outside the Philippines. This was putting increasing demand on the domestic market and also fueling a demand for recruitment to serve markets like the UK, like Australia, like Canada and the US, who are using the Philippines as an area to outsource their accountancy and business services. And there was a lack of work-ready accounting graduates. So these are all the drivers, all the things that we found out by exploring that market, working with the regulator in that region. And the solution that we're putting in place in partnership with them is to firstly raise awareness, to talk to people about standardization of qualifications and skills, not just from the UK to the Philippines, but internationally, working with our International Federation of Accountants connections to get appreciation of the need for internationally recognized standards that not only allow students to get graduated, but then to use those qualifications to enter new employment markets. Secondly, in the Philippines, we're introducing our qualifications mapped into local qualifications. So we have progression routes into our qualifications, and also education and employment routes out of our qualifications, so graduates are part of a journey. We never want our qualifications to sit in isolation in a market. They should all be part of a sustainable solution. We're also working with the organisation to create local membership solutions. Simply taking membership out of a country is no longer a sustainable solution. We want to work within the country to develop a sustainable, localised but internationally recognised membership group in the Philippines. And more long term, looking at setting up a formal designation of accounting technician recognised by the government there. That final step takes a little longer. It's reliant on government progression, but it's the natural next step of establishing international standards with locally recognised membership. And that takes me, I think, to the end of my time. So thank you very much for listening to me today. And if anyone would like to know more about our membership approach and our approach to international partnerships, I've dropped my details into the chat. Please make a connection. I'd love to talk to you more about what AAT do.
Tim, thank you very much indeed. I'm always remarked by the fact that you have, quite a narrow field in the fact that it's accounting technicians, but actually the diversity of what you do within that is really quite extraordinary. How long has AAT been working overseas now?
It's been working overseas 33 years in one capacity or another. It operated internationally from quite an early stage, having only been founded in 1980.
Fantastic. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Do get in touch with Tim if you want anything to do with accounting technicians and that wider scope. We're going to move on now, though. We've got LAMBA next, and Liza, Maggot and Sally Hull are going to do a tag team presentation all about LAMBA. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name's Sally Hull, and I am one of the team leaders for LAMBA examinations. And with me is Liza Maggot, who's Chief Examiner Associate. So, first of all, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to tell you about LAMBA. And I expect you're wondering who we are. Well, that's a very good question, and I'm going to answer it for you. And like all good Oscar speeches, I'm going to keep it a little bit brief. So let me tell you who we are. We are one of the oldest existing drama schools, founded in 1861, and we started offering speech and drama examinations to the public over 130 years ago. And we've got an incredible alumni. And I'm not just talking about the stars who you can see on stage and screen. I'm talking about the learners who've taken our exams. The learners who have struggled to communicate, suffered from nerves, lack of confidence, and the ones who needed to channel their energies and skills rather than waste them, but couldn't find an appropriate outlet. So, these are the amazing alumni I'm referring to, students of all ages and situations who, with the help of LAMBA, have been able to go out into the world armed with great life skills. And there will be many more to come as we enter a future shaped by AI, automation, and rapid digital transformation. Human skills, particularly communication, empathy, collaboration, and confidence, are more vital than ever. LAMBA exams are a globally respected qualification that help learners thrive in this shifting landscape by building core personal and interpersonal skills. Whether the exams are taken face-to-face or through the digital platform, there's an opportunity to grow and develop, to learn to communicate and embrace the future. And we now examine in over 50 countries. So, why do LAMBA exams matter in an AI-driven world? As AI and automation continue to reshape the workforce, human skills are becoming the new premium. The World Economic Forum and countless industry leaders have identified communication, critical thinking, creativity, and emotional intelligence as top future skills. And that's where LAMBA exams come in. They sit at the intersection of education, creativity, and global skills development, offering learners a platform to build these essential capabilities. And in doing so, they equip individuals to collaborate effectively with both people and machines. They promote mental resilience and self-esteem, countering rising concerns about youth mental health. They lay the groundwork for careers in the creative economy, and they support the international demand for well-rounded learners who can think, speak, and lead with clarity and confidence. LAMBA qualifications offer a range of Ofqual registered qualifications, including speaking in public, acting, speaking verse and prose, and musical theatre. And one of the greatest things about them is they are suitable for all learners of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds. They're available in flexible formats, solo, duo, and group, to meet various teaching and learning styles, and are mapped to the Regulated Qualifications Framework, that's the RQF, offering UCAS points at higher level exams. And let's not forget, UCAS points are essential for UK university entry requirements. The UCAS points that a learner can earn from a level 3 LAMBA exam can help with university applications, particularly when a student may not get the predicted grades they require for the university of their choice. And of course, if you take a level 3 exam, you can build conversation skills that are essential when attending an interview. Many young people today find speaking to others very challenging. And social media doesn't help. Regularly being focused on less verbal and more visual communication, LAMBA exams offers an opportunity to explore and use voice. So, how can LAMBA help the development of future skills? Well, LAMBA qualifications empower learners with communication skills essential for leadership, teamwork, and AI human collaboration. They also help with confidence and resilience, key attributes for navigating uncertain futures. And let's be honest, the future is often uncertain. It can also help with emotional intelligence, supporting well-being, empathy, and interpersonal understanding. And LAMBA exams can help with creativity and expression, critical for innovation and problem-solving in a tech-driven world. There is something for everyone when you explore the LAMBA syllabi. So now seems like a good time to take a look at what an exam can offer. And for this, Liza is going to talk you through one or two of the LAMBA exams. Liza.
Hello, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to our LAMBA suite of qualifications. We cater for everyone from the age of 4 right through the education system, into the workplace and beyond. And our qualifications can work alongside and complement more traditional academic study. One of our actually most popular qualifications is speaking in public, where learners build skills in speech writing, delivery and presentation, alongside their ability to hold a conversation, and also impromptu speaking at the higher levels. I'll come back to that in more detail in a moment. We have an introductory syllabus where the assessments are equally split between the recital of a poem from memory with expression and confidence, and a short conversation with the examiner. Although there are no age restrictions to any LAMBA examinations, traditionally these introductory examinations are used by very young learners. The idea is that by reciting a poem in an engaging way and being able to have a basic conversation, you are normalising oracy, communication skills and creative thinking from the very early moments of education. Just as a learner would be expected to go to a school and embrace literacy, numeracy and science, by building LAMBA examinations into your curriculum, it sets out an expectation that the ability to communicate with confidence is as normal a skill as something like reading or writing. Like many of our qualifications, as Sally mentioned, these examinations can be taken in a group format, which build collaboration and teamwork in a cost-effective way. Moving on to our accredited examinations, as Sally said, that sit alongside the RQF, we have two sides to our syllabus, communication and performance. On the communication side, we have speaking in public, along with speaking of verse and prose, reading for performance and Shakespeare for performance. The different subjects each have a different slant, but essentially the learner needs to memorise poetry or a prose extract and bring words to life with confidence to connect with an audience. The choice of text may be taken from their school curriculum, complementing study and understanding, and hopefully igniting passion in their academic studies, all the while increasing their skill set and normalising the ability to speak up and speak out. Our performance qualifications allow the learner to gain confidence through playing a character in acting and musical theatre, and also devising drama where they create their own dramatic text, nurturing creativity and a greater understanding of that writer's perspective. We also have miming, which is essentially the basic mime skills that support an acting performance. But beyond this, a miming exam can be used to build confidence in English as second language learners, or very shy pupils, or those who might be really bright and creative, but perhaps are being held back by additional learning needs within their speech and language skills. When peers are being entered for a speaking or acting exam, they can have the same experience and confidence boost through achievement without having to speak. This leads us on to the fact that LAMBA examinations are inclusive and open to everyone, irrespective of additional learning needs. We have a reasonable adjustment policy so that an examiner has an awareness of any particular needs within the examination room. For example, if you have a learner with dyslexia, we can offer resources on a different colour paper or a larger font, or allow additional time within an examination. So let's take a closer look at our speaking in public syllabus. The syllabus starts at the top of entry level, entry 3 on the RQF, where learners are required to create a presentation about their favourite book. Then at level 1, grades 1, 2 and 3, they present one speech and start to engage with the use of visual aids to enhance content. And as they move through to level 2, which sits alongside GCSE examinations, 2 speeches are performed, and many learners choose to get to grips with use of visual aids such as PowerPoint. Presentations for our examinations are to be written and presented by the learner without the help of AI, although teacher guidance is welcome, so that students hone their skills and support their academics. Learners present out to a wide imagined audience, and we assess them on the creation of the speech and their knowledge of the subject and use of vocabulary. In terms of presentation skills, we look at use of voice, body language and facial expression, and whether they can bring their words to life with an air of spontaneity. The assessment criteria develops at the higher levels to demonstrate a more in-depth use of research and understanding of the connection of speech content and style to a target audience, and how use of delivery skills can complement the power of the spoken word to inform, motivate and persuade listeners. Learners are also assessed on their understanding of speech creation and their ability to engage in a conversation, which prepares them for every area of their life and particularly interviews later on. As they move through to level 3, where the examinations hold the UCAS points that Sally mentioned at grades 6, 7 and 8, with the prestigious LAMBA bronze, silver and gold medals attached to the examinations, students create and present 2 rehearsed speeches, and will also look to start honing the art of impromptu speaking. As anyone in the workforce knows, there will be a point in the life of every successful adult where they are likely to have to present in front of a group without preparation. In the level 3 LAMBA examinations, it's a soft introduction to this skill, as the learners are able to have 15 minutes preparation time to bring an unrehearsed topic to life. Learners may start their journey with LAMBA examinations at any grade that is suitable to their capabilities, and the syllabus can be used to support individual learning. For example, you may have a really strong, competent grade 3 speaker who needs to improve areas of their spontaneity or storytelling. So perhaps they may go sideways and explore a reading for performance examination or acting to elevate their skills. Our examinations take place around the world, both in person and online. There's a parity of assessment, whether exams are taken face-to-face or online, and they are assessed in the moment, giving learners a very different experience from traditional written examinations, nurturing the ability to manage their nerves and finding the confidence to speak out in real life situations. This gives LAMBA learners a head start when they go out into the wider world of university, interviews and the workplace. If you wish to register as a private centre to have an examiner visit your students, either face-to-face or online, there's no charge to do this, and you can go to our website where there are easy to follow instructions, or you're welcome to phone our customer services who will guide you through the process. There's no requirement to register as a private centre, as we have public centres throughout the UK and internationally online, which facilitate the opportunity to trial our examinations with even just one learner or a small group of learners. We invite you to take a look at our syllabus, which is easy to access and free to download online. where you can also find additional resources, such as, they're all free, such as teacher support material, and to be reassured that our subjects can be taught with anyone with a passion for improving oracy and communication. And our syllabus is user-friendly and completely transparent, with clear explanations of regulations, requirements, and assessment criteria, making it really simple to build LAMBA training either into your curriculum or after school provision or CPD within the education system or the business world. I know that was an incredibly large whistle-stop tour of what we have available, but we're hoping, have a look online. It's all very easy to get hold of and see what we can do for you to enhance the communication of your learners. So thank you from me, and back over to you, Sally.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'm just going to say, repeat that question. What can LAMBA do to help you develop future skills? Well, it's all in the syllabus, so don't hold back. Have a look at it as soon as you can, because LAMBA promises to empower anyone who chooses to take one of our examinations. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Sally and Liza. Very good. Thank you very much indeed. I've got my own words tied up then. Really, you surprised me, right? So I really thought, it was all about just dance and all of that, but actually, because you're taking the angle, but because you're sorry, the arts, but because you're taking the angle of communication and things like that, you really are touching on real good personal skills that are for life around a whole range of subjects. And the one area that I really love is, of course, is that you can embed it in curriculum and work in those contents that you've got, different content. So it's really, really good. You've really opened my eyes, and I hope you've opened everybody else's eyes as well about how this can be applied, because personal skills, transversal skills, all really important for development, and not just an education setting actually, but for workplace later on, to create really confident people. So really well done, and thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Moving on, keep the pace going. We have Christopher McCormick from Efekta Education Group, and good morning to you, Chris. How are you? Hope you're well.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. I'm doing very well, thank you. And hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. So there's a connection between a lot of the different sessions and the topics that we've been exploring, and I'm going to be taking this a little bit further, this idea of empowerment and employability, because what we're really focused on with Efekta education is empowering people to take advantage of opportunities for the future, starting in the school system and beyond. What we're focused on is English and its role in creating opportunities for the future. We know that there's a number of challenges presented with having effective English skills developed in basic education, which is often then made up for through foundation years, into university curricula, TVET, and of course, organizational learning that needs to fill the gap between where students reach upon graduation and where they actually need to be effective in their scholarship or in their roles. So we're on a mission to transform this through technology-led solutions, including AI, to help get students speaking from day one. These challenges are persistent where we work around the world. We see that there are not enough qualified English teachers to meet the demand. Large class sizes hold everyone back from getting the individual attention that they need to develop their speaking skills, because English is more than knowledge transfer. You need to be able to use it with others. It's a tool for communication. And of course, there's a lot of outdated content and assessment methods that have people focused on learning for an exam as opposed to learning for the practical application of language. So this is something we're trying to crack using experience we have from our own operations around the world, but also leveraging new technologies that are available to us today. So by way of introduction, I'm Dr. Christopher McCormick. I'm the Chief Academic Officer for the group. I've been with EF, the wider EF Education First organization, for 27 years. We are the digital spin-off of EF. So Efekta Education is a wholly owned EF company, but we are separate as well, which is allowing us to accelerate our innovation and R&D around the implementation of AI in language learning. But we leverage EF's 60 years of teaching languages and cultures around the world through immersive programs. And we apply that same ethos in everything we do. Language is a way to bring people together, create understanding, and create opportunity. So even when we use technology, we're still focused on how we can encourage communication, social contact. But that's a little bit about us as an organization. We're working with thousands of companies around the world, training their workforces. We have a new division entirely focused on military competence and communication, and we work in teacher training as well as in school-based learning. But today I'm going to focus on the students in schools, where we have some 5 million students actively learning on our platform now. It's the largest deployment of AI in education in the world currently. But we are recognized by our partners. We work through our operations in our schools. We are accredited everywhere we work. And these are a number of the logos that we also are working with, fantastic organizations we partner with, and also research that we conduct together. So this allows us to really gain experience of what the workplace needs and what the education sector needs, and crucially, what teachers need. So we have taken what we do in our own school-based operations for EF, and we're now making this available publicly for the first time. So we have an AI-powered curriculum that I'm going to walk you through some of the highlights of, which helps people to develop their confidence and their independence and get that learning time that everyone needs, even in a large class or a resource-poor environment. It begins in 4 phases. We focus on the teachers' knowledge and capability and their professional development, their AI literacy to work with our tools. We also focus on their own fluency, because quite often this is maybe unfamiliar in an English language environments, but quite often around the world, the fluency of the teacher is not much higher than the fluency of the learners. So we also focus on bridging their fluency gaps with specialized use of the platform, the same platform the students are using, but with courses designed for teachers. We also align and integrate with the curriculum using this common European framework as the backbone to align for the international standards. And then we work on blended learning delivery, using our curriculum as core or supplemental materials in a very flexible way so that it can be implemented where it's relevant and meaningful anywhere in the world. And of course, we use our business intelligence, our data science, our learning analytics to help give progress tracking in real time for the learners, for the teachers, but also system-wide stakeholders. It all begins with establishing a benchmark of where people are. So we have our online testing platform called the Efset. It's our skills evaluation technology, and this uses AI to assess your speaking and to assess your writing. It's the first time there's a free assessment using AI to give you real-time assessment of your productive skills. We also test your receptive skills. This can be done in large-scale installations. We have millions of test takers every year using this platform, getting a certificate for their CEFR level. So it's very useful evidence to start deciding how to prioritize the learning in schools. And I bring this up because of this gap that we talk about. So we have our interactive curriculum for school-based learners to use from 10 to 18-year-olds. We have a similar curriculum for adult professionals that many of our teachers use, as well as employees worldwide. But the school-based curriculum, we have STEM-appropriate English topics. There's more language across the curriculum. There's a further development of literacy skills as well, teaching reading, teaching writing, and of course, a lot of speaking time. The classroom activities, the tasks, the extensions that we also encourage enable teachers to create an environment that is really relevant for their learners. Because we know that most ministries of education tend to have a target of getting people to graduate with a B2 level, which is an upper intermediate level of fluency. But the reality, most school leavers are only coming out with maybe A2 if they're lucky, potentially B1 if it's been quite ambitious. Now, in continental Europe, that's different. We often see higher exit standards, but the rest of the world picture is radically different. We also see this among teachers. Teachers need to be 1 CEFR stage above their learners, and very often they are clustered with the learners. So the average benchmark might be everyone at around an elementary level of A2, and the teachers just a bit above at B1. So this can really empower teachers to build their own skills, build their own fluency, which inspires them and gives them more confidence for their professional development, but it also prepares them to bring the next generation up. It's a multiplier effect if we get the teacher fluency up first. Once the students are in this curriculum, we have automated level placement, we have grading and marking that's done with thousands of interactive activities and videos, speech recognition. There's a range of activities people can do, whether it's in class time or in their own time. It allows for flipped learning, blended learning, supplemental or core, but it saves the teacher that work because we provide the curriculum framework, we provide all the information very transparent, they know how to plan and integrate this into their lessons. So it's a time-saving tool for them. In addition, our classroom AI pays attention to what all the learners are doing. So then that information can be fed back to the teacher where they might want to intervene. Who is taking more time to work through certain exercises? Who has made some quick progress and taken level tests and done very well, made milestones certifications? Who can you intervene and encourage and praise? So this will help to flag up learners that need attention. It's very flexible. The platform can be used on any device, a tablet, a phone, or a desktop. And it also has downloadable content to work in an offline mode, because many of our learners, for example, in rural Brazil, are unable to use Wi-Fi maybe at home. They might need to be in a school environment where they can use the signal, download that activities. And if they're doing it for homework, they can work offline and then synchronize later. Teachers also appreciate this feature when they're training themselves. Maybe if they're at home, then they don't have Wi-Fi, they can also work offline. What we're trying to do is integrate AI meaningfully across the course. Now, the character you see here on the left is Addie. She is one of our AI learning assistants. So she's there to appear along with other characters who appear as video avatars along the way to help introduce what's happening, to prepare learners, to raise awareness and background knowledge, to activate learning, and it's consistent. So there's someone there who's helping you, a helping hand. Many e-learning experiences from the past and past years were quite flat. You click through and you're on to the next sequence. Now AI is tracking what you do. It's remembering everything, and the memory is long. So we can also introduce and help to introduce remediation where you need it based on what you've done. We have real-time explanations. We have conversation practice. We have feedback on your writing. All of this is targeted to you, what you've seen before, and it's commenting with developmental feedback consistently. We've implemented what we call AI conversations, and these are situational role plays that cover everything from, in a school-based environment, meeting friends, introducing yourself, playing on a sports team, trying to accomplish different objectives that you can do in a number of rounds of turn-taking with an AI conversation partner, different characters. The AI listens to what you say and responds exactly to what you have said. And they can steer the learner back to the ultimate learning objective for that particular conversation to try to reach that milestone. We have over 2,000 of these scripted. These are for school-age learners, but also for working professionals. We've done frontline situations as well for people working as counter staff in a restaurant. So there's a number of ways that you can use the AI to create these. And what's more is we train our AI models on the fluency of the learners themselves. So as I mentioned before, we've been teaching languages for a very long time, 60 years of experience doing it, 30 years in the digital learning space. I began with EF when we were working on CD-ROMs in the 1900s. Now we are doing things in an immersive way and training AI based on real teacher interaction with learners and based on real language output. And this makes this very different from commercial AI applications out there in the world, the LLMs that people use to help generate ideas and content. This is specifically trained AI based on learner fluency data. So we're listening to how beginners speak, how intermediate learners speak, how advanced learners speak. And we also listen to what kind of interactions teachers do, how they give feedback, how they encourage and motivate. This all goes into the AI experience for facilitating language learning. So we try to give you the right feedback at the right time to meet you where you are. And that makes it a quite special experience and intensely personalized for every learner. We do this at great scale. So we're working in school systems, for example, I mentioned Brazil earlier. We have several million students in public schools in states across Brazil. We're able to start day one on the academic year, onboarding every one of those millions of learners without a hitch. We have a data infrastructure that supports all of our global companies around the world, and we use a single sign-on method that also helps integrate into their own learning environments. To that end, we actually white label the solution. So any school system, school district can just call this English learning solution anything that they want to call it to make it fit into their wider suite of tools that they may be using. But we also have a cloud-based infrastructure, and we meet very high security standards for data protection and, of course, storage and handling. This allows us to work with these millions of learners at great scale, and of course the 25,000 plus teachers who are working with the site as well. We have seen remarkable uptake and engagement. This chart here is really showing you 3 different lines. Those are 3 different school years. The bottom line is the first time it was used. The second line is the next year it was used. In the third year, we're working in one particular state here in Mato Grosso in Brazil, where you see engagement. This is looking at how month on month the usage of the platform by teachers and learners. It's really incredible compared to how other digital tools and platforms might be used. The reason people enjoy it is because they are experiencing for the first time that they're speaking from the very beginning of working with these tools. They're getting to use language in a way that they've never had before. They're getting feedback very targeted to them, very differentiated learning. Everyone is at a different place in the platform because they're getting what they need. Parents love it because they see their children very engaged. Teachers are enjoying it because it's saving workload and they see their students inspired and motivated. And teachers who work with the platform are improving their own fluency. So it's a win across the board. For the supervisors, the administrators who are sponsoring this in schools or entire school systems, they're also getting fantastic return on their investment. We've seen a good example here of how this is working to improve learning. In the state of Paraná in Brazil, with 750,000 learners we began with a couple of years ago or a few years ago, we saw that their state English exams were around a particular level, around that 39% somewhat level. After working on our platform for 2 academic years, that entire cohort has lifted the performance on the state test of English independent of us. So we're also seeing that this multiplier effect is really starting to take shape. It's transformational. They've not had these kinds of results before. And we're seeing it not only there, but everywhere we're working. In fact, we're currently teaching learners in Rwanda, teachers, primary school teachers. With the Ministry of Education of Rwanda, we are focused on helping them teach the primary curriculum through English because they changed the official language from French to English and needed to support teachers to be able to do that. So we're working with 38,000 teachers across Rwanda right now who are also using this platform to improve their own chances in professional development. So I'll leave you with a couple of thoughts here from some of the people working with the program. These are the voices that we always want to hear from. So one teacher here is just sharing that it's really changed how she's able to work with her students. She can focus on what she really needs to be doing to build the connections with the learners. The role of the teacher can change with the implementation of AI in this way. It can make the interactions more meaningful in the classroom. More time can be spent on coaching and facilitating and mentoring learners. We're able to offload that marking, the planning, the individualized feedback, that practice, skill development, so that the teachers can work with the learners either one-on-one or together to provide more meaningful social experiences in the classroom. And this is a testimonial from the Secretary of Education for the state of Sao Paulo in Brazil, who whereas our largest program with several million students, and really passionately talking about how this is making a difference for the first time, that they're delivering students who are excited to speak, able to speak, and are delivering for themselves and being able to really create new opportunities for the future. And that's the legacy he has been looking to create within the state of Sao Paulo. Now, we're active around the world. We have projects going across Latin America. We have projects in Africa. We have projects in Southeast Asia. We're looking to expand that, whether that's through piloting the platform, letting teachers use it, see how it can be a supplement or core material for them to use. But we also work with people to do the testing. The testing is our free testing platform at fset.org, which you can take a whole group, teachers, learners, employees, and assess them very quickly to establish the evidence you need to make better decisions about their onward training and development. So I will stop there. That's my contact email there. And of course, Efekta.com is the website where you can learn more, see a bit more testimonials, learn more about what we're doing as a wider group. But I hope this gives you a sense of how we're trying to make a difference in the way English is taught around the world. Thank you all very much.
Christopher, thank you so much. That was a really sweeping presentation, a lot to cram in a short period of time, I know. But really, really interesting, actually, how you're building kind of capability and capacity to support the whole of the English language learning process, not just looking at teaching at the back end, if you like. So it's looking right up front and actually how that integrates into curriculum and wider lives and their life skills, right? So I think it's really good. I also love the fact that you look at the impact of what you're doing, the global impact, and how this is affecting kind of what's happening on the ground in each of the countries. So really, really great to see that. And thank you so much indeed for joining us. Do kick around after the last speaker at about 9:45, we'll have hopefully some questions that we can pose to you to get a bit more information. So thanks very much indeed for joining us. A very good morning to you, Stuart.
Good morning, Jonathan. Thank you.
We can see your presentation. Over to you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for everyone for joining us this morning. And Jonathan, thank you for having me and Transcend Awards along for the ride. So fantastic presentations from all of my colleagues this morning. It's going to be quite difficult to follow some of those acts, but I'll certainly do my best. And I'll also do my best to keep this brief, as I do have a habit of monologuing on some of these presentations that we've done before. So I'd like to give you a brief outline of today's session on behalf of Transcend Awards. Obviously, going to give you a little overview of who we are and why we're operating in this space, what our mission, vision and values are, how we align to the Global Skills Challenge and what we're kind of seeing in our work that we're doing so far. And then obviously a little area around what we've done in this space so far, working with our colleagues and contacts across the world and also here in the UK. So there is a Q&A at the end. Please do think of some questions and you can add those to Jonathan and the chat later on, and I will happily answer anything that you might need to know. So a brief introduction to myself. My name is Stuart Liversedge. I'm the Head of Business Development here at Transcend Awards, and I've worked in vocational training for the last 6 years as part of an awarding organisational certification body. And my career has been spent in the health and fitness sector, which is a heavily vocational training focused industry. I've been lucky enough to experience some international trips with Jonathan and the team and their help, and we've covered business working through Saudi Arabia, UAE, Vietnam and Singapore. So welcome to Transcend Awards. Who are we and what do we do? So Transcend Awards is a certification body based here in the UK. We have been operating for 8 years, so relatively young compared to some of my colleagues on the call this morning. And we operate our certification and registration services across a number of sectors, with our key sectors being health and fitness, leisure and well-being, sports coaching, leadership, and also we cover military-based training and teaching and learning. So so Transcend Awards is 8 years old. We offer education pathways from entry point into employability, and like I say, we've also covering different sectors from military, teaching and learning, and all of our qualifications we endeavour to map to the recognised standards and professional bodies in that sector. So particularly working closely with UK Skills Partnership, we are an Ofqual registered awarding organisation, and we also work with sector bodies such as UK Active for the health, fitness and wellness sector, and SIMSPA, which is the Chartered Institute for Sport and Physical Activity Management here in the UK as well. Threw me off a little bit there. So Transcend Awards, our commitment is to get heavily involved in the global market, and whilst we are relatively younger in that space than again some of my colleagues, we are deeply committed to achieving links to the UN sustainability goals and lasting impact across the global markets. As part of our service, we obviously work as a consultancy-based partnership with our centres that come on board with us. And we like to see that we can align what we do very heavily across different areas of the UN sustainability goals. Primarily, we focus on Goal 3, Goal 4, Goal 8, 9 and 17 in Partnerships for Good. As a reasonably small organisation, we know we can't tackle a lot of the larger problems across the global skills sector on our own, and therefore we are openly looking to work with new partners anywhere in the world that are looking for an awarding solution. We currently offer over 90 qualifications that are regulated by Ofqual, and we also work with training centres and providers to look at non-regulated education, where perhaps there's a need or a skill fit that can be addressed more quickly and more adaptably through non-regulated methods as well. As I mentioned, we work with a number of partners globally, and our partners typically consist of schools, colleges, universities. In the UK, we work with prison sites as well, and we also work with any training organisation or charity that wish to add learning and development into their skill set. As I mentioned, as a new entrant into the international market compared to some of my colleagues, we're currently working across the UK, which is our primary business, but we also cover partners in the Europe area, the Middle East, and soon to be spreading. So, Transcend Awards was born as an innovation engine, which is quite a nice term to think of the fact that we want to develop qualifications and give every learner the best opportunity that we can. As I mentioned, we work with our sector skills councils and professional bodies to address the relevant skills gaps across the different sectors that we work with. And we are driven by improving education and quality and helping to professionalise any sectors that we can touch upon. We were founded with a clear belief that awarding should have a soul, and we exist to reduce education inequality and give every person the chance to turn their dreams into reality. We're very proud to be Ofqual regulated, globally minded, and we are resolutely dedicated to creating positive change through education. We are deeply committed to empowering individuals and organisations worldwide by providing internationally recognised high-quality qualifications and education solutions. Having followed a number of vocational training qualifications throughout my career, I can testify firsthand to the value of education in the workforce and the workplace. And I also entered my market as a lower level qualification. And here I am 26 years later now talking to you, having followed a number of different qualifications along that route. So it really is a fantastic way to look at students to be able to deliver impact in that sector, whether that be through themselves or as an organisation. We are definitely committed to making a global impact, and as we grow as an organisation, we grow our partnerships, that impact is going to spread. So as you can see on screen, our mission, vision and values are clear. They aren't just words on a page. These are deeply rooted into everything that we do and the way that we operate as an awarding organisation, down to being factored into decisions that we are making, partners that we work, and obviously areas that we can enter into. So, as many of my colleagues have covered before, we know there is a global skills challenge, and we know from the work that the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development has done that there is a warning around skills mismatches and the fact that they are going to be one of the greatest threats to employability worldwide. When you think about sustainability of career pathways and sustainability of employment across different sectors, it's really key that we use that backdrop to set the context for why our work is so urgent and why the solutions that we bring are globally relevant. So we know that there is a skill mismatch. We know that learners are facing disengagement through lack of progression pathways, lack of entry points, and this is obviously limiting both personal opportunity and national capacity. We know that there's a demand for solutions. We know that governments, organisations, schools, colleges are looking for ways to engage students and have scalable solutions to those problems whilst working with trusted partners. And we also know through the work that we've done so far with the UN Sustainability Goals that quality education and decent work are linked heavily and go hand in hand with what we do. So, UK skills, massively active across the global population. We know that the UK skills market offers global credibility, and we're proud to offer UK vocational training because we know that is respected worldwide. We know that our Ofqual regulation gives confidence in quality and rigour, and that all our qualifications are externally quality assured to ensure consistency, learner protection and public confidence when they're delivered on site. We work very closely with our partners to be able to deliver the best education pathways that we can, and we can also look at upskilling with our partners to enable them to offer a wider range of our qualifications. We have a number of partnerships already set up in place, not just in the UK, obviously globally, where we can allow our partners to get in touch with new sites that are looking to offer new qualifications or a broader suite of qualifications, or that may need an upskilling to be able to deliver UK-based educations. And we are more than happy to work with you on those. We know that our qualifications offer a broad range of adaptability. So Transcend qualifications are flexible, and they've been co-developed with partners to meet local workforce needs. And we are more than happy to work with you to deliver that in your area and to look at your needs locally. We know that, again, there's different approaches to delivering education depending on the sector that you're in, but also the region that you're in. And it's really keen for us as Transcend Awards to be able to understand that and work very closely with you as a personable awarding solution. So what is our value proposition? You can see on screen, kept it nice and simple for you. There's 3 ways that you can get involved with Transcend Awards. You can focus as a partner, where you can begin to deliver Transcend Awards through development of new qualifications, new pathways, new resources and materials. And we will quite happily discuss with you bringing our skill set and regulating those as well. We work with sector bodies to offer the most relevant skill set we can so that we understand what's operating and happening on the workfloor, so that we can obviously bring that with the most relevance when that qualification is developed. You could also become a provider with us, so you could deliver one of our 90 qualifications existing. We're proud to offer quite a wide range and diverse list of qualifications, from my comfort zone working in health, fitness and wellness, where you can deliver nutrition education or fitness education to help improve the population of your local town and city, to working with the military to look at how we can upskill leavers from the military and how we can recognise their skills, and that forms part of our case study later on as well. We want to continue to leverage the UK's long-standing reputation for excellence in education, and we want to continue to offer qualifications that meet both local and global demands. And then finally on screen, you can see that you could be a participant as well. So you could actually sign up to one of our Transcend qualifications through working with one of our partners. You could study one of our qualifications and understand how that impacts on what you do. As we come through, the slides will be provided. I'm going to keep time a little bit shorter, but you can see that we are centre-led in our delivery, and we are expert-led in our co-development model as well. And we design qualifications with government providers and employers to make sure that they are relevant, that they're trusted, fit for purpose and impactful. This will be sent out for you, so a little bit more words on screen than I'd normally like, but you can see the different benefits of working with us, the credibility and adaptability that we offer, the innovative collaboration and expert delivery. We're backed by the EFQM resilience and people-centred approach, and that forms part of what we do daily. Our 2 case studies can be available for you to read as and when Jonathan can send those out for us. But we are working with a company based in Switzerland looking at technical leadership in sport. The social impact of that work that we've been doing with that business is off the scale. It's so fantastic to see the impact that that's having in local communities. It's been developed with technical directors, so we know that it's fit for purpose and it's adaptable. We also work with the British military, with the British Training Board, to be able to recognise skill sets of soldiers and officers that are leaving the military. All those skills and experience that they've developed from working within that workforce need to then be translated into the civilian world. And we've been able to create career pathways and mapping qualifications across from one to the other. So as time is moving on quite quickly, I'd like to join you. I would like to welcome you to join us in global impact and alignment. I'd like you to join us in taking our mission further across the global population. And I'd like you to join us in making the biggest impact that we can through leadership and governments, global benchmarking, and being aligned in our values and to the UN sustainability goals. We are committed to looking at sustainable transformation, and we would like you to join us in that mission. For our partners, this means working with an awarding organisation that doesn't just deliver qualifications. We drive sustainable transformation worldwide. And you are welcome to contact me to find out more about Transcend Awards. My contact details are on screen. I'd like to thank everybody for listening this morning, and Jonathan and the team for fantastic presentations so far today. And I look forward to answering any questions that you may have. Jonathan, thank you very much.
Stuart, as always, thank you very much indeed. Really good to get your domestic and international focus through your presentation. So really great to see. I'm blown away actually by the range of qualifications that you have. And I literally, I was looking at the website earlier, but I see, it's literally military security, management, logistics, sports, nutrition. I think there's a lot of multinational type programs as well, drones, facilities management, so a great range for everyone to be involved with. And I love the fact that actually it's co-developed and co-created with your partners. So really fantastic opportunity for everybody there to really be connected with Transcend Awards. So thanks so much indeed for showcasing that for us today. I will be sending out all of the details, but they will actually go onto the UK Skills Partnership website at the end of the week with all the recordings and all the materials in terms of presentations, but also additional materials that people supply will go into a bundle so that everyone watching can access and download it anytime they like. But we must move on though. Time is pressing. Jason Gregory from NCC UK, a very good morning to you. Lovely to have you with us.
Okay, good morning all. Last but no means least, want to give you the perspective of workforce skills from NCC. NCC stands for the National Composite Centre, which was originally established, and that's where its core expertise lies, was around composite materials, but its depth and breadth and scope has much extended that to really supporting innovation industry. And I think that NCC, we have quite a unique perspective on workforce skills because of what we do and who we are. So at the heart of NCC, we are an RTO, which is a research and technology organisation, and we really focus on supporting industry transformation. So we're taking cutting edge research and technologies and trying to apply and transform them into industry practice and impact. So that's why I think it gives us quite a unique perspective on those future skills, because we are working with academia, so identifying those really cutting edge research, and we sort of know what potential innovation is in the pipeline. But then we also work very closely, and you can see on the slide here, the TRL are the technology readiness levels. So technology TR1 is at that really early stage of innovation, to technology 8 and 9 is where you're actually into standard industrial practice. And NCC actually focus on the middle part, which we actually call the valley of death, which most sort of concepts fail. So therefore, we're working with academia, but also working very closely with industry and employers to see how they can implement these new technologies into their industrial operations. So really understand, what skills are needed, how to apply these new innovative practices. But also we, alongside this sort of knowledge and insight and expertise and research and development, we've been delivering skills programs for the since 2011. It's very much, in line and aware of the trends that are affecting the delivery of workforce skills. And I know a lot of this has been covered by the other presentations, but just to summarize, we know it's a key challenge for all employers. There are some emerging successful case studies, but there's a lot more work to do. It's going to be their priority over the next 5 years. And I think the biggest challenge is jobs and skills are evolving so quickly. And there's that real focus on skills now around that human machine collaboration. I think all countries are now really waking up saying that we need to have a more agile and responsive national skills systems to help drive our industrial strategy and achieve economic growth. I think we also must recognise that we are changing how we learn, those learning preferences, that we are now trying to refer to consume learning in more bite-sized consumable chunks of stackable learning on those lifelong learning pathways. And indeed, that real integration of AI and learning technologies into our learning and examinations. And I think Mark and Chris have really sort of highlighted some of those case studies. But I think, we're seeing how AI is accelerating that content development so we can be quicker to market, but also how it can help personalize learning as well. Another thing that I'm really acutely aware is obviously is what are the key challenges that the skills need to address and what impact they have on industry. So there are critical skill gaps in key industries, particularly around engineering is a key gap. That also there's a lack of strategic workforce planning by employers. Unfortunately, they're very much sort of focused on the here and now, but they also need to think about what that future workforce planning is. There's always that challenge with SMEs because their time and cost restraints of engaging in workforce skills. And the key thing is also those training and qualifications can become outdated too quickly because the pace of change. So how can we all collectively have a much more agile, responsive system? I think these are the sort of impact it has on with the lack of skills, and those employees say those 4 key areas. How can I improve my rates, my quality, my cost, and my sustainability? And how can an effective and responsive skills workforce support that? So NCC, we focus on some key industries which are priority in the UK from the industrial strategy, but also very aware that they're also priority industries for many countries around the world. So looking at that aerospace, how they can improve the aerostructures and the propulsions through their Wings of Tomorrow programs. Many countries are obviously increasing their expenditure on defence. This is more looking at from a manufacturing capability, an increased amount of autonomous systems and drones. So it's really that advanced engineering and novel technologies being applied to defence. Another key amount of investment is that in that clean energy, particularly around wind and hydrogen, where UK has a lot of expertise, but there's significant growth opportunities around Southeast Asia, in Saudi Arabia and in the Gulf, and also across Europe. And that sort of 4th area is around that's applied to these industries, but more broader industries, is those advanced materials, how you're applying composites, thermoplastics, carbon fiber to innovate in those industries. And then the underpinning all that, the biggest part of our work is how we're applying those technologies. So we have 11 key technology strands that we are seeking to see how we can develop those skills in these particular areas to then support that innovation in those particular industries. So from a skills perspective, we focus on 3 areas. That's one is defining future skills through our unique insights and collaborations, how we can deliver skills to be agile and responsive, and how do we then really target our workforce skills interventions to supporting those future workforces around those key national missions. So a couple of case studies around those 3 key areas. So NCC is one of the founding partners of the Hydrogen Skills Alliance in the UK. That started to try and in a very nascent industry, what are the skills and the jobs that are going to be evolving and emerging in this developing sector. That led to developing the skills frameworks, and now the next phase in terms of the Hydrogen Skills Accelerator is to develop curriculum for hydrogen's transportation and storage. And then, as I mentioned, we're trying to support those SMEs in the upskilling. So through the Made Smarter program in the UK, we delivered a portfolio of online digital learning programs to support those digital technologies, supported by some immersive workshops in that learning factory model. And that 3rd area, one a little bit more costly, is that we worked with a number of our members to develop a immersive workbench, which really provides that on-the-job training, instruction and guidance to help them perform specific tasks. And there's quite a range of case studies and interventions that we can do in the workforce skills. But we can't do it all on our own, and we really adopt that partnership model. So very much seeking now how we can work with partners across the world to deliver some of those key workforce skills interventions. And here are a couple of areas that we would like to consider in the partnerships. And one is that convening and foresighting. So again, that's using NCC's unique insights into that industrial innovation. but also then convening and bringing together educators, industry and stakeholders to really define what are those future workforce requirements. That enables them to really sort of define what those future skills are needed, and they can help us build those competency and skills frameworks that can be led to developing training courses, curriculum and qualifications. And that also then leads on to some more direct workforce planning with governments and also with employers, doing those needs analysis and really providing that sort of future workforce planning. And then on the delivering skills, we have sort of two key models, and that's really focusing upskilling, reskilling existing workforce, and potentially new entrants become more work ready with short training courses. And then we're collaborating with education institutions on the more sort of medium to long term to develop that future talent. So NCC delivers its own training courses at our own sites in the UK, but also customer premises across the world, and that's a more sort of bespoke training. And very much sort of keen to establish partnerships with education institutions where they can license NCC content, and we can support by that trainer programs. Then online, we have our own online learning platform to deliver those short upskilling courses, but also, you know, considering publishing our content on online platforms to extend that scale and reach. We're also planning to implement a learning factory model and pilot in the UK to deliver that more first-hand exposure to industry innovation. I'm very keen to identify partners that could work together on that learning factory model. But just a snapshot of our current skills programs. They do currently focus more on the composites, which is where our original core strength was, but providing that progression from introductory to intermediate level. Now we're expanding into more engineering, sustainability, and those clean energy sectors as well. And in the future now we are planning to develop more programs to build on this foundation that focus more on those digital and AI applications in industry, and also on those advanced materials as well. So just to summarize at a glance, what is NCC? You know, we have over 100 academic partners, we have over 400 specialist engineers, we've invested over £300 million in state-of-the-art technologies. It's a membership organisation, so we have sort of tier 1 OEM members like Airbus and Rolls-Royce, but right through to the SME members. And there's three key areas where we support industry. That's around de-risking technology, implementing industrial practice, how we can support supply chains and make them more resilient, and also the key element of that is workforce skills. And just to put into context, NCC is part of the Catapult network, and we're particularly part of the high value manufacturing group. So we also enable them to be able to plug into a much broader network of expertise on industry transformation. So that was a real quick run through of what we do and our perspective on skills, particularly from a real sort of industrial transformation perspective. If you're keen and interested in discussing your potential partnerships, please get in touch.
Jason, thank you so much indeed. You covered a lot there. I particularly love the kind of define, deliver, target methodology that you go through that process. Really, really important. And also, I'm really interested in the research and technology element, because, you know, a lot of your presentation was really setting out some of those challenges around, you know, employers not really kind of looking at how they foresight their own skills needs and their own training needs against their business plans, right? There's you know, an implicit connection between the two, but so often, you know, you'll hear people say, you know, we need to train people in X, Y, and Z, but actually that's not what the business needs to achieve the aims it actually has set out as a business, right? So the two things are very different, and I love the way that your organization is really kind of focusing in on that capability and being able to, if you like, act as a consultant to those organizations in helping them shape what those future needs look like. So really, really great. And also really interesting how you cover some really kind of existing areas, but quite novel as well in terms of the depths of the aerospace, energy, defence, and advanced materials. Lots of great technology, and I love the wings of tomorrow. Yeah. And of course, great segue there, because we're going to bring everybody back in now, because we are creating workers for tomorrow, not only for today. So thank you so much indeed, Jason. I do have some questions that have come in, so I would like to invite all of the speakers back online. So Annabel and Ty and Mark and Tim and Liza and Sally and Chris and Stuart, and we'll just have a couple of questions before we finish this morning's session, because when you started, it was a 2-hour session and it feels really daunting. It's going to take ages, and here we are already knocking on the door at 10 o'clock, and it's gone really, really quickly actually. So I do hope all the listeners have found it really, really useful. I have a question, and I'm not going to pick on one person, so whoever sticks the hand up first can start the responses. But really, it's around motivation for operating globally. Why does your organisation want to work globally, and what do you want to achieve? What are you trying to achieve by working globally? Anybody got any thoughts? Stuart.
Thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, certainly our aspirations to work globally are driven by impact. Obviously, operating within the UK sector is absolutely fantastic. It gives us a great start to awarding organisation services. But to have the biggest impact we can and make the biggest changes that we can, we've obviously decided to open that up to a global audience. And as a sort of younger business than some of my partners on the screen here as well, we want to get that involved right from the very beginning, rather than kind of evolving as a UK-based business first. So, like I say, the alignment we've done to the UN goals and the EFQM model, it's deeply rooted into who we are, and it is all about impact and hitting the most students that we can.
Thank you, Stuart. Jason.
Yeah, definitely. I think on top of what Stuart said, totally agree with the impact. I think one of the things is supply chain. The industry has global supply chains, and that's a big challenge around the resilience, reliability, and timely delivery and quality. So I think therefore these global companies need the upskilling across all the supply chain. And I suppose the third area is it's a mutual benefit, is obviously upskilling in those countries, but also having that insight and exposure to industry practices and innovation in other countries. So I think it's a mutually benefit partnership.
Great. Yeah, I'm always one for the mutuality bit. I think it's really important. We learn from our friends around the world as well. Annabel.
You took the words from my mouth.
Sorry.
Honestly, I knew I've been working with Jason and yourself, Jonathan, for too long. So what it is, I think, for Pearson specifically, I'm actually in Hong Kong right now, having lots of meetings with amazing people from sort of schools, colleges, government, and looking at what we learn from them as well, and looking at kind of how Pearson can adapt and localize and build our own services and knowledge and expertise better. We've got amazing colleagues all over the world, but also partners all over the world. So I do genuinely believe that. And I think with vocational education specifically and the skills-based learning that we've all been talking about, if we've got students in Hong Kong looking to go to Mumbai, or students in Mumbai looking to go to London, or London to Canada, wherever it might be, if we can build that global mobility of them, I think learning from as well, both sides, as you say, mutually. So I've just repeated what you said.
Fantastic. I love the concept that international change is a UK organisation as well. That's really, really important. And in fact, just to show the international diversity, I know some of you are in the UK, but Annabel, you're in Hong Kong. I think, Chris, you're in Kazakhstan at the moment. Is that right? Yeah. So, people are dotted around the world. We're not all just sitting in comfy UK. They are out there doing the doing, which is really, really important. Mark.
Jonathan, thank you. Yeah, I think there's a golden thread, and I think it is that partnership building. I think there's so much synergy in all the speakers this morning. I think it was great to see. I think for me, it's that partner, and Jason and others made the point about not being able to do it in isolation, do it on your own. I think that partnership, I think there is great opportunity there. I think as well that that really helps to strengthen the UK as a leader in skills development, but I also think it helps to strengthen our role collectively in shaping those global workforce transformation. I'd be really keen to explore any partnership opportunities with people that join the call. Also particularly keen to catch up with any colleagues that would like to have that discussion. Jason, I think there's some definite synergy between the work that we do, and I will follow up with this to you afterwards. But Jonathan, thank you as always for your continued support.
Thank you so much indeed. I have a question now for Christopher, Tim, and for Liza and Sally, which is really around recognition of qualifications across borders and translation of those skills into other countries. In the countries that you're working in, you're finding that's relatively an easy process because the UK has a really robust qualifications framework and system, or are there some challenges in those countries around recognition? Tim.
Obviously, getting the recognition is really important, and having the off-qual stamp on qualifications does open doors. But I think increasingly there is a demand not just to have a UK qualification, but to have it adapted or integrated into the local system. It kind of reflects what everyone's been saying. You have to form local partnerships. You have to be prepared to adopt to what local standards required, as well as take the international or UK standards in there. So I think it's actually got more complicated than it used to be to integrate our qualifications into local structures because of that local adaptation that's required.
Thanks so much, Christopher.
I would just point out that, learning English is something that most of the world is trying to do. And I think often we forget just how much industry goes into that, how much effort it takes. There are a number of qualification frameworks for assessment, for high stakes assessment, for immigration, for assessment, for workplace promotion, and so forth. What's important is to have the sense of readiness. Are you ready to do these things? And so using something like a free test, an AI-powered test that we've launched, for example, is completely free, will help you understand if you're ready for that. It's a way to get the evidence you need before you invest in the high-stakes test. So there are tools out there that can sort of democratize the testing experience a bit more. So something like fset.org will enable people to get a snapshot of where they are, how much more they need to go before they go into those higher stakes qualifications or assessments.
Liza.
I think following on there from what Christopher's saying about that desire to speak English. So, of course, we have the off-call stamp, but because we're looking at learners globally, and we are out face-to-face and online, it's very much that need to speak English and that understanding that actually within the business world, it's such a useful ability, but going through that kind of live approach. So actually learners can make their mistakes, if you like, when they're younger, and they become so much more adept at speaking up and speaking out, certainly using English as a second language really well in the workplace. So, yes, the off-call stamp and those partnerships that we're building, but actually having that face-to-face approach, I think, really works well for us in our global communities.
Thank you so much indeed to each and every one of you for giving up your time and to share your expertise this morning. Really, really appreciated. We do encourage people to connect. So the recordings for this will be made available at the end of the week once all the sessions are done, because we've got 11 sessions in total this week with different people on each session. So there's lots to learn throughout the course of the week. And at the same time, we will make available PDF copies of presentations and also any additional materials that each of the organisations wants to share as part of that. So thank you very much indeed for joining us. There is another session tomorrow morning. So tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday, we have 3 sessions, one at 8 a.m, one at 12 noon and one at 4 p.m. Thank you all very much indeed for joining us. I'm Jonathan Ledger. It's been a pleasure. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, John.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks a lot.